What's going on, guys? Three Wheels in the Block back again. We're in the garage with the 400 Camaro, and as you can see, the guide coat is in place. Guide coat, and more guide coat. So with the guide coat in place, I do have an area up there on the top of the hood I need to work. There's one spot back here that I missed and put some spot putty there. Aside from that, we're going to block everything down and see where we're at. The only other area that has not been blocked is this spoiler back here, which still needs some attention. It's pretty close. I'm just going to have to hand sand it. So I guide coated this because I was trying to see how much more I need to adjust on my highs and my lows. This has been the most challenging part of the car to sand. This outside portion, not too bad, but this one right here on the trunk, I've reshaped this thing a couple times trying to get it to where it goes down and just rolls it nice and even. And if you look at the contour, it looks pretty even. Anyway, still got work to do on this, but I'm actually going to block sand the rest of the car down and chase everything else down, and I'm going to save this to last. And then maybe, just maybe, nah, forget maybe. Then we're going to get some paint on this thing because it's got to be painted. I can't play with it all year. So with that said, let me set the camera up on a tripod. I'm going to break out the big kid blocks and we're going to start block sanding and see how close everything is. I think the top's ready. Confident on that one. Sail panels, I think they're ready. Top of these fenders, I think they're ready. That front fender is getting pretty close. The doors, we're going to find out. This is pretty much all ready to go back here. It wasn't too much to do, it was all new. I did flatten the section between this taillight and that taillight right there because they were both off. They had dips that were pretty substantial and I didn't want to show up in the paintwork, so I flattened them out. Enough yakking, let's get to work. And you can see there's a sanding block on top of there. Broke the knobs off one of my big kid blocks. So since they have a 100% guarantee warranty on the knobs, that one will be going back and getting replaced. So big shout out to them for taking care of me on that one. In the meantime, we're gonna go old school with foam block so I can finish up the sanding on this Camaro. Did some work on the spoiler. It's pretty close. I'm gonna have some little pinholes I'll need to fill in along the way, but it's no big deal there. The shape is good and it looks a whole lot better than it did before. All the back is pretty much ready to go. All this looks good through here. Did a little bit of filler in this area. Got a little bit of sag in my primer. I was using a 1.8 gun. It was a cheap gun. And it's too inconsistent for me. So I backed up to a 1.3, and that's what I shot my primer with. I know guys use different type of guns and stuff, but for me, the 1.3, the 1.4, that's my sweet spot. That's just my preference. It works. It works consistent every time, and consistency is the key when you're trying to get anything done as efficient as possible. There's another little sag up there. Let's see. Just guide coat. There's another little sag right there. Yep, see a little run in the primer. So we'll knock that down. I always try to flag my runs, even though you can typically see them pretty easy. You can see the darker guide coat in those areas. And the top was ready. It was smooth. But I decided to come back and prime it one more time because I had two spots that burned through, and I'm gonna try to sand this thing down without any burn through. Even though I'm putting sealer on it, and I just preference thing. So this fender, I redid this arch a couple times, try to get it straight. I just realized that fender's twisted. Son of a gun, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, there's something funny about that fender. Well, I guess I'm going to straighten that up. Dang. It sure is. Man. You know, I didn't see that fender was twisted until I looked through the camera screen. I'll just throw this camera in the trash. Anyway, so let's finish up block sanding here. I'm gonna block the top of this guy, the doors, rockers. We are really, really close. If I have to do any touch-ups on anything, I anticipate it will be back here on this, and on this guy, because it wasn't 100%. It was pretty close, but there's a little area right there. I need to sand that back. I think I just need to back sand that off. I don't think that's actually gonna stay. Little spot right down there, you know, just little dings and stuff that I didn't catch when I went through and did all my spot putty. But plan is to get all this done and get this thing ready for paint by the end of the day. And then I'm gonna wash it out, blow it out, and get all the dirt, grime, dust all out of the vehicle. I'm gonna pull all that plastic that's inside out of there, and I will put it back in again, and I will put paper over all the glass. Anywhere where the air pressure can cause the plastic to flex, because if this plastic flexes, little teeny spots of paint will come off there. I don't have anywhere up there, but back here, if you look, let me wrinkle this plastic some. Yeah, you see that primer? Yeah, see it fell off right there. I don't know if you guys can see that. So in the past, I've had issue where I've had plastic, you know, just run around the door, blah, 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 and I come back to spray my clear, for instance, and the base coat's dried, and the plastic flexes as the air passes by and lifts up those particles, then they fall back down into your fresh paint. So never, ever, ever, ever use plastic near an edge where you have high pressure, because if you do, it's just gonna suck for you. I'm just gonna tell you, just go ahead and use paper or use masking tape. Use anything but plastic. It's one reason I'm not really a big plastic fan, but it's cheap and it does work. In the case of this, in the case of spraying primer, it worked fine, but I will not use it again in the future on anything unless I'm just doing some primer cover up or it's just a quick blow-in repair, you know, something like that. But if you got primer and then your base coat and your paint, don't do it. Take it from three wheels. Don't do it. See the pole hunter Camaro? It's all taped up. That's right. It's time to put some paint on this thing, finally. If you see behind me here, your boy's been a little busy. Got a little booth action. Actually goes all the way back to where my paint desk is at. And that was so I didn't have to travel through the curtain. But anyway, the Camaro is dressed and ready for the occasion. So I'm gonna get to spraying because this has already been a long day getting to where we're at right now. Sorry I didn't record all this and all that and all that, and I too be trying to get it done. I'm not gonna lie. I have been on this thing for months at this point, and I'm just ready to get the paint on. So I found two little tiny small spots, when I wiped it down with wax and grease remover. It really aggravates me when I find it thin. Even though I wiped down the car and sanded the car, but then it shows itself. Anyway, I'm gonna let them fly. It's in the Concourse Restoration, it's a street car. But still, little things like that, after you've been on something for a few months, it starts to mess with you. Let's get to work. My generic gun, buddy. Generic.